Hey guys, so this video is a sum up for the Iron Horse raid for TU15 content. This basically is going to be a compendium, so to speak, of what you're expected to do when you're in the Iron Horse raid with a Pug Discord group. This is what most pugs will run these days as far as strategies, what you're expecting to see, what mechanics you need to know going into it. Hopefully this video will keep it summed up for you guys. I hope you guys enjoy. Like and sub if you do. And if you don't, comment what I can do better in the comments section. I'll see you guys in the video. So before I get into the boss strategies, I just want to make it crystal clear to everybody watching this video that there are certain builds that you should be bringing into the raid. First and foremost is the red weapon damage build. This basically it consists of all red weapon cores with crit hit chance to 50%-ish, and then stacking remaining into crit damage. Generally, players run with an LMG, an AR, or a classic M1A rifle. You can do any of those along with a Reviver Hive and a secondary skill of your choice. But please run a Reviver Hive with a red damage build. That's going to get you the most use in the raid. All right. After that, once you become affiliated with the raid and you know the strategies and the timing of the mobs, you can go out to be either a healer or a tank role. But please, before you think about joining the raid, put together a red build. You can see that build in another video I made. It's going to be in the description below. So if you want to check that video out, that will show you the red builds as well as and also other builds that you'll need for the Iron Horse raid. All right, guys. Without further ado, I'm going to get into the boss strategies now. Here we go. Okay, so the first boss, Lieutenant Gray, is actually quite simple. This boss used to be more complex, but now it is essentially a burn phase where everybody kind of stands up front in boss range and burns him before the ads overwhelm you. So essentially you want to have 7 DPSers with 1 healer, the healer using future initiative 4 set. And what's going to happen is there are going to be 3 shield ads that come out of the door to the left of the train that you see at the entrance, and the boss will jump down right in front of the train after those 3 shield mobs come in. For most pug groups, you'll either riot foam those shielders down, so 1 red DPSer or whatnot will use riot foam to lock those guys down off the pole. You'll then use weapon damage to just burn those guys down quick. Once the shielders are dead, you essentially just burn the boss, shoot his backpack whenever you see it turn blue. Once the boss's backpack no longer is activated, you just shoot him in the head over and over. If you get too close to the boss and he does target you, he will stomp and do a stun lock on you, so it's best to stay at least 10 meters away from him. When other shield members come back out after about 45 seconds to a minute of engagement, you will have to switch back to those shielders and make sure that they die before re-engaging the boss and burning him down. It is to be noted that there are ads on the top left and top right of the boss, as well as coming out behind the group. So essentially, if you start to get overwhelmed by ads, you can have 1 or 2 DPSers break off and burn those ads that come out from the sides and the back. Note that there's a grenade chonga that comes out in the direct back and slowly walks towards the boss area. So he will not be in range as when he first spawns, but just note that if it takes more than 1 shielder phase to burn the boss down, you will have to deal with that chonga as well. But again, it's just a straight burn with 7 red DPSers staying within a healer range and burning the boss down. The second boss is named Fieser. You're going to need 6 DPS, 1 tank, and 1 healer. The tank needs to have some hazard protection. It's not a must. If they run Vanguard with full armor cores, that's perfectly fine too. The way you want to structure this fight is have 2 red DPSers on A side, 2 red DPSers on C side downstairs, and 1 DPS on B side, with the other DPSer upstairs floating between the control room in the back hallway so that you can focus down ads that come out of the doors on left or right side of the control room. There are 3 main phases in this fight. The first phase is essentially reading out the screens. So there's going to be 2 screens on each area of the map. So on A, there's 2 screens. On B, there's 2 screens. And on C, there's 2 screens. And every time there's a code being read, those screens will activate with a picture. The picture can either depict a broken cup or a full cup that is indicated with a white filling, or a black cup or empty cup that is empty. And they can either be on a hook or on a conveyor belt. So essentially what you want to listen for if you're on A, B, or C is the callouts from the control room healer saying black cup on conveyor belt, or 2 hooks, 2 hooks, full cups, or moving cup conveyor belt, for example. And you want to try to match your picture by ADSing at the screens. The screens will only open if you get within vicinity of about 10 meters and aim towards the screen. That way you can see what they have behind them. If your screen is the one that's the same depiction or the same picture, you want to follow the yellow cord that comes out of the screen to the battery. There's a red box battery that connects that screen. If it's your screen, you want to shoot that battery. If you do it correctly, you have to do this 5 times. The control room person can tell that it's done correctly by looking at the crucible percentage. It goes up by 25% every time it's done correctly. The boss spawns on the first correct. So as this phase is happening, there's also going to be mobs that drop rockets. You want to depict either the A or C side. You want to assign A or C side for rockets. If your side is not the rocket side, you want to immediately kill that rocketeer and then fire that rocket into the wall so that that rocket is no longer on the C side. What will happen is that the A side will get 2 rockets or the C side will get 2 rockets if you do it correctly. When an alarm sound goes off during the fight, this means that you need to send someone in with the 2 rockets either on A or C side, and they have to fire at the turret in the back of the room in Fieser's room. When the turret gets hit by both rockets, then the turret will no longer alarm and you don't have the wipe mechanic. Also happening during this phase is constant ads will be coming out so that you have to keep up with the ad control. Okay. Phase 2 consists of the crucible movement. So this is when the person in the control room has to move the crucible to a certain point where then there's going to be a weak point indicator with a health bar up on the ceiling. At this point, the control room person has to go over to either A or C airlock and open it up for a DPSer to aim up and shoot that weak point. When they shoot the weak point and destroy it, the control room person then has to run back over to the crucible mover and continue to move the crucible. This has to be done 3 times back and forth by the player in either A or C airlock, along with the control room person, to get the crucible in position to dump the molten lava on top of the turret in the back of the room. Once the lava is poured onto the turret by the control room individual, then the water phase begins. So the water phase, you need to assign people at A, B, and C to flip water valves to equal 85 water minimal, but not go over 100. These water valves are indicated by 15 and 25 indicators, and there are either 2 or 3 at each location. A has 3 of them, B has 2 of them, and I believe C has 3 of them as well. You want to indicate these before the fight begins so that you can flick the right valves and get the right amount of water. You want to preferably have about 90 to 95 when you flip them so that you don't have the minimal 85 in case there's a delay in flipping the water. Before the water is flipped, you want to send the tank individual back into the room with Fieser so that he can run to the back left or back right turrets that are near the main turret gun of the fight room. All right. And basically what that person needs to do is jump on one of the turrets while the control room player calls for the water. When the DPS players at A, B, and C flip the waters correctly, you then use the control room person to flick the main water valve so that the player on the turret, the water turret, can shoot the main gun in Fieser's room. If it's done correctly, you'll see steam come over the turret, which indicates that it's been frozen down, and you can send everybody to the B airlock so that they can all burn Fieser when the control room person opens the B airlock. So again, to recap, send the person that's going to be at the water turret into Fieser's room. Call for water. Water gets flicked to 85 to 100%. The control room flicks the water on for the tank that's inside Fieser's room to shoot the main turret with the water valve turret. Once it freezes over, get everybody into the B airlock, and you have to hold the B airlock open while they burn Fieser from the B airlock. Once Fieser's burned down, let go of the B airlock for the control room person, and everybody clears out the remaining ads, and it's a down. Lieutenant Williams is the third boss in Iron Horse. It will consist of 3 phases, the first phase being the color phase, second phase being the Pac-Man phase, and third phase being the ABCD valves along with the boss burn itself. Phase 1, let me back up. You'll need 6 DPS, 1 tank build with hazard protection, and a healer. The healer and the DPS will stay down on the ground floor, while the diagnostic person takes the chain up to the 3rd floor during almost the entirety of the fight, so that they can press the diagnostics computer located at the central 3rd floor area. While you're pressing and holding F on that computer, there are going to be snipers that spawn on the 3rd floor, so please call out to your team if there are snipers near you so that they can focus those directly. The DPSers on the ground floor will focus on consistent ads coming out of the sides on the middle and the bottom ground floor doors while dealing with the mechanics themselves. So the 3 colors in phase 1 consist of red, yellow, and blue. If it's a red phase, you can simply cheese it by having the diagnostics person hold the computer button on the diagnostic while you have 1 player assigned to sit near that red console computer on the ground floor. As soon as you can, press F on that control computer, and the boss will spawn behind you, and an alarm will sound. The alarm indicator means that the player up at the top floor, or any players up at the top floor, need to jump down immediately. Otherwise, in 3 or 4 seconds, they will be one-shot and killed. So the boss will always spawn after you press one of the color-coded computers behind them in the double doors. When the boss spawns out during phase 1, you want to immediately focus the boss down until he goes immune. This usually takes about 2 or 3 armor bars worth of the boss, but you want to push him so that he goes immune and runs away ASAP. After that, you want to focus the remainder of the phase on the other 2 colors. Colors will never repeat, so you'll never get a red or a yellow, or you'll never get like yellow, blue, red, yellow, blue, red, yellow, red. Yeah, you will get a red, yellow, blue, though. That can be a combination. So basically, you'll get 1 color each time during phase 1. So red is fire phase. We've already gone over that. Blue is essentially you want to send one of your DPSers up to the top floor, and then they immediately want to drop down to 1 level in the middle floor and run around and look at the valves that are steaming on the middle floor central circle. You want to press the valves that are steaming so that you fix those, and you have to do this 3 times. Once you do the 3rd one, the person down near the blue computer on the ground level can press the button and spawn the boss. Again, make sure your diagnostics person and the person doing the pipes in the middle jumps down as well so that they do not die. Once that smoke clears, you can go back up on the chains and your diagnostics person can read out the final. If it's a yellow color, then you need to run around to the voltage boxes located on the 2nd and 1st floor and make sure that you click the ones that are sparking. If you see a yellow box sparking, click it. You have to click 3 of them, and then you can press the yellow control computer near the yellow indicated area. Once all 3 colors are done, phase 1 is complete. The boss goes immune. Phase 2 is the Pac-Man phase. Basically, what happens here is there needs to be 2 or 3 individuals that know how to do the turning of the valves so that the Pac-Mans are facing the little dots either to the left or to the right of the Pac-Man in each of the 3 areas that the Pac-Mans are located. There are 6 Pac-Mans total. You need to make sure that they're turned so that they face inward towards the furnace doors that they're holding shut. Once all 6 Pac-Mans have the red dot in their mouth, essentially, you can shoot the red dot, which will then turn the Pac-Mans to eat the red dots. Once both Pac-Mans in an area eat their red dots, the grate will open and you can shoot the furnace fire area underneath. It has a health bar, so it's an indicator of where to shoot. When you shoot these areas, you want to make sure that you're at an angle so that you're not standing directly in front of them, as when they die, they explode and spew out lava. It will kill you if you stand in front of them. Shoot them at an angle. While this is happening, too, the boss will be running around and using riot foam grenades, or rather landmines, seeker mines, something. They'll be using seeker mines that will riot foam you to the ground. If you get riot foamed, you should aim down. Do not aim down your sights, but you want to hip fire down at your feet until you break yourself out of the riot foam. You can also shoot other players out of the riot foam so that they can be free as well. Once you do all 3 Pac-Man grates, you'll then go into phase 3, which is the ABCD valves. So if you notice in the central ground level, there are giant valves with A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P listed over in a giant circle. The person that was diagnostic in phase 1 should go back up to the top and read another screen that shows the letters along with the correlating bars that either show a middle bar, a high bar, or a low bar. That person needs to call out on certain letters if the bar is higher or lower so that they can put those bars to the middle. In other words, if you see a screen where, say, A and C both have higher bars, then you say A lower, C lower. The person down at the bottom, you should have 1 DPS assigned to shoot the valves over those letters. So if you need to shoot A higher, you need to make sure that the screw goes towards the middle of the furnace. In other words, you want to shoot the screw so that it gets tighter and thus will make the thing go higher. If you say A lower, then you need to shoot the screw so that it's getting looser and away from the furnace so that it gets lower. Do this with all correlating letters that need to be higher or lower, and then you'll push the phase into the final burn mechanic. At this point, the boss is going to be going around on turrets while these letters are being called out. The turrets need to be killed by rocketeers. That you basically kill the rocketeer ads, pick up the rockets, and shoot at the turrets where the boss is. Do not break the 3rd turret until everybody is up on the top floor. So when the letters are being read, you should have your DPSers going up to the top one by one, taking the 2 chains on the left or right side. Once everybody is up top, you then want to throw a sentry turret out. One person should have a sentry turret out next to the turret that the boss is on, so that the boss will focus that turret next to the turret that he was on. Once the assault turret has aggro on the boss, you can burn the boss, his backpack, and his head as best you can. Stay on the top floor and burn the boss until he's dead, while focusing his back whenever you see a yellow hit marker come up. This means that he's getting healed, so make sure that you burn that backpack ASAP. Once the boss dies, do not drop down at all, as the key will spawn at the top with 1 player. Someone pick up the key and go over to the master control, which is one of the computers right next to the diagnostic computer. So that person does not jump down. They stay up top. put the key in. You'll then have 30 seconds to have other players jump down and go to the red, yellow, and blue computers. If you do it correctly and you press all 3 computers, it will say clear the remaining ads and you'll down the boss. Otherwise, you'll wipe on the 30-second counter if not all 3 computers are pressed by the 30-second timer. Good luck. Morozova is the final fight of this raid, and essentially you want to have 1 DPSer at the front left, 1 DPSer on front right, preferably some of your harder hitting DPS, because they will be taking out the ads that constantly spawn out of the front left and front right doors. In the back left and back right, there'll be Rocketeer ads that need to be killed ASAP as soon as they come out by 2 more DPSers. Once they die, you want to shoot those rockets at the bullet train first as your priority. After the bullet train gets 6 rocket hits on it, you then want to focus on the mortars during phase 1 from left to right. The rockets will spawn every 20 to 30 seconds, so make sure that you, after you kill the Rocketeers, you immediately focus whatever you need to fire next. While that's happening, we also need a person that's in a stagger form, which can be run with Merciless, preferably Ravenous, or you can also use Explosive Sticky Launcher, or you can use a Concussion Grenade. However, that's very tricky to use stagger. All right, that's for phase 2 and phase 3. So that person in phase 1 can just run around. There's also a person indicated as a key tank. This person runs Vanguard with some blue cores. This person is also going to run Bulwark so that you can essentially Bulwark shield tank the pit along with picking up keys from Chongas in phase 1 and phase 3. When a Chonga dies, it will drop a key. You want to run over to the little indicated circle in the back center where there's a giant minigun. And instead of having that minigun sweep left or right, you want to stand inside that with the key. When it charges to 100% and the minigun sounds an alarm as the key tank, you can interact with the computer behind it. And that will focus the minigun onto Morozova's train instead, damaging Iron Horse. Once you damage to a certain point and wreck the mortars, that will be the 4 mortar turrets from left to right, and your Rocketeers break them and kill them by shooting 2 rockets into each mortar after the 6 initial to the bullet car. Then you will all stand near the middle center car, which no longer has electricity under it. At this point, you'll hear alarms and airstrike missiles going off. You want to get inside that puddle and underneath so that you do not get airstriked in one shot. This is going to be a common reoccurrence for every phase push, so get used to knowing when you need to go inside this pit. It should also be noted for phase 2 and phase 3, you do not want to prematurely step inside that pit. You want to make sure that you wait on the cusp of the yellow line and the broken road area. Once you hear the missiles start to fire off, that's when you can step into the pit and actually get behind the Bulwark shielder. Otherwise, you'll get mortared prematurely while you're in the pit, and your healer will get stressed out. For phase 2, basically it's a rinse repeat of phase 1 without the mortar cars, but instead you want to focus just the Rocketeers and staggering Morozova. So Morozova will drop to a knee. Basically, you'll see like a little red circle over her head that has a mini timer on it. If you do not do explosive damage on this, she will fire off tracking rockets that can one-shot your red DPSers. So it's very important that when she drops to a knee with this rocket launcher, you need to use your Ravenous explosive damage or a Merciless. I think it takes like 4 shots from a Merciless with explosive bullets to actually get her to stagger check, okay? After 6 rockets to the bullet car, that's the end of phase 2. You want to run towards the center again, towards where you go underneath. At this point, you want to focus Morozova again and push her down so that she fires off more airstrike. At this point, get underneath, stay safe from the airstrike. Once the airstrike goes off and you get through the machine gun fire, step back out. Phase 3 is basically phase 2, but with chongas. So at this point, you want to watch for chongas that come out the left and right side. They'll drop keys. Your key tank will grab the key, run back to the back center turret, and use the turret to burn down the remaining Iron Horse health so that you can final push Morozova to her health bars. Now, it should be noted that as you're phase pushing, the train will also have a green laser that will target random players and shoot like a machine gun at them. If you have a green laser on you, just take line of sight the main train in the front, all right, so that you do not get hit by it. Another thing to note is the machine turret that's in the back center for the key tank will sweep left or right from time to time. You will need to line of sight that using various covers in the area. The last thing to note on this fight is the snipers that will spawn on the top left and top right of the train car. Whenever you see a sniper come up, you should call out to your group sniper up left or sniper up right, and those should take priority. Some groups do run headhunters so that they break the chongas better. So if you do have a group that calls out a headhunter, do not worry about the snipers. They will be handled by the headhunters, snipers in your group, okay? Final thing to note during this fight is during the entire encounters, you should not be using a drone or a sentry turret. Morozova should not be being damaged unless you're called out by your raid leader to push Morozova. So only worry about ad controls and making sure that you stay alive during the boss mechanics, such as the green lasers and the machine gun sweeps. One more thing to note during this fight is you want to make sure that you ad control the front left and front right ads. Even if you're a Rocketeer DPS, make sure that those guys up front are still safe and not being overrun by ads, especially when the chongas are coming out on their sides as well. Do this, and I promise you, you guys will down it okay.
That's what happens when you go in early, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Interesting. Son of a bitch.
Sniper left.
Oh, right, there's snipers this phase.
Briefing bright.
You guys can shoot snipers this phase. Not although the people on left are already doing it anyway.
Sniper right.
Fieser, stop spawning them. Oh my gosh. Oh shit, she might go. Oh, nope.
Sniper right.
Oh, that's a lot
Sweeping
of
left.
snipers for this phase. What the
No,
heck?
they spawn randomly, right?
Yep.
On phase 3. What the heck?
I get it, Doctor. You just want me to do something.
I just hate this phase. Green lasers and everything.
Clearly.
You got rockets?
Sniper left?
Fucking-
Yeah, I do.
Walking pincushion over here.
Okay, got rockets. Middle, middle, middle.
Yeah.
Everyone middle.
I don't
Middle,
have
middle.
stacks. I
Come
don't
on,
have
come middle.
stacks.
You can break her. It's fine. Shoot
No,
her.
I can't.
Feels like no help.
Sniper
left.
right.
Ooh, good.
Get that stack.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hit
In.
Right out.
Oh, I killed both of them with one TAC 50 shot out from the door.
Nice.
Hopefully that didn't lose Headhunter.
Can you break? That means you can break then, right?
What? One of them wasn't a headshot. That's
Nice.
nice.
Beeping left.
I need someone to come and take this rocket up. Griff, can you help me out? Oh, you're here. Good.
Don't worry.
Got you. Good healer, good healer.
Yeah. Don't patronize me.
Okay, average healer.
Yeah, average healer at best. He's using a capacitor. He's a fucking idiot.
What the fuck? You're using a capacitor? What the heck?
I have a sniper.
Sniper right.
I mean, interesting, interesting.
Interesting.
And sniper left.
Okay, perfect.
I mean, if you're using opportunistic, you already get that 15% bonus.
Beeping right.
Yeah, it's on my G28, buddy.
What the heck? Interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, well, if other people did their job, I would certainly like to buff for you guys too.
You shoot those rockets. Shoot those rockets. Please. There you go. We're good.
Sniper right.
Thank you.
What is this?
And sniper left. He's in.
Oh, alright, Doc. You cannot miss this one.
Yes, I can. Cracked.
See, you got this.
Dead.
There you go.
Let's go.
You teleported the second hardest key.
Second hardest. Why is this second
Yeah.
hardest?
The first one is the first key.
Beep left.
Right, the fourth one's hardest, but why is this one harder? Because the
Because you have to use
turrets are-
Tech 50 and
Yeah.
your
Right.
lasers.
Yeah,
Then you can use Nemesis for this one.
even though that turret's alive.
Yes. No, the mortar, the autocannon will break it
Hmm.
when you user puts a key in the autocannon.
After
will
I
that-
shoot
have
it.
the sniper. Oh, okay.
And should be sniper right as well.
Someone tilled the right and left one. I'm full though, it doesn't matter.
He's in.
He'll shoot. See, he'll shoot the mortar.
Yeah.
See?
Oh, which means I can't tell my aim spot. Cracked. Nice. Dead. So you can actually do both shots with Nemesis before he even moves. Although
Yes.
I think he only
You-
died because I crit. It
Wait.
wasn't quite a full charge.
You can use Nemesis for the second key, but it's scuffed and they don't recommend you doing it in speedruns because
Mhm.
Tech 50 is always consistent.
Yeah.
But the Nemesis, you sometimes
If
you'll
you're
do it,
right.
sometimes you won't penetrate.
Like for the second mortar, the second Chunga on the fourth phase.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone
For
can
the
go
third
middle.
one, you can use Nemesis, but for the first key,
Yeah.
you definitely have to use Tech 50 just because of the follow-up you need to do to have everyone shoot.
Hmm.
Second one, maybe, but it's recommended.
Do you ever have to use TAC in the first phase?
No, you don't have a reason to use TAC in the first phase at all.
Like I thought there were some situations where Nemesis didn't penetrate on the first phase.
He's in.
You only everyone get in the water. Everyone get into the water. Oh, wait, get into the water.
Does someone have Achilles?
On what's it called? Shooter. On first phase when you first get out, what you could do is you could just insist stack with tack, so you can easily break Chunga. So everyone runs out shooting tack, and then that's the only time you should use it until first
Yep.
phase.
Mhm.
And you could use it if you want it fast tack still. I am back.
No overcharge.
We had an interesting overcharge.
Yeah. Very interesting.
I thought you said it didn't matter on Morozova.
That's the only place
You
it does.
shut your mouth.
Wait, how did she kill me? What the heck? Oh,
Because
I
you
don't think she
suck,
counted.
Boomer.
She didn't count as an elite. That's dumb, dude. She melted me like a red ad. What the heck?